The real truth about Indian plane crash. On the bright morning of June 12, 2025, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad was alive with the hum of travelers, eager to begin their journeys. Among them was a diverse group aboard Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner destined for London Gatwick. There were families setting off on holidays, business travelers with important meetings ahead, young students returning home, and seasoned globetrotters marking another destination on their itineraries. No one anticipated that this routine flight would soon become one of the darkest tragedies in Indian aviation history. Passengers chatted softly, some lost in their thoughts, others absorbed in books or devices. The plane's engines hummed steadily as it taxied to the runway, then roared to life during takeoff. But the peace was short-lived. Moments after ascending, the aircraft began to shudder. Lights flickered in the cabin, and a deep murmur of confusion and fear spread among the passengers. The engines, which should have powered the plane smoothly through the sky, suddenly sputtered, then faltered completely. Passengers clutched armrests, some prayed quietly, others shouted for answers. The calm confidence of a safe journey was shattered. Outside, people watching from the ground were struck by a terrifying sight, the plane struggling to hold altitude, wobbling unnaturally as it descended. Then, in a nightmare realized, the Dreamliner crashed into a residential neighborhood just minutes from the airport, engulfing homes in flames and filling the sky with thick, black smoke. The scale of devastation was almost unimaginable. At least 270 lives were lost, including 29 innocent people who lived in the neighborhood beneath the flight path. The tragedy reached beyond the passengers and crew to touch families whose homes were destroyed or damaged by the crash. Among the missing was a local filmmaker who lived just a few hundred meters from the site, someone who documented stories but now had become part of one. But amidst the rubble and heartbreak, stories of survival and sacrifice emerged. One such survivor was Vishwas Ramesh, a British national on a business trip. In the chaos of the crash, Vishwas managed to escape the wreckage, his body bruised and burned but alive. Still clutching his phone, he called emergency services and recounted the horror unfolding around him, the screams, the flames, the shattered fuselage. His voice, shaky yet composed, became a beacon of hope in the disaster's aftermath. Another deeply moving story was that of Yaman Vyas. The night before the flight, his mother had urged him to reconsider, worried about his safety. At her insistence, he cancelled his ticket. Yaman's decision saved his life. Yet his close friend, Savji Timbadia, kept his seat on Flight 171 and tragically did not survive. The crushing irony of survival and loss echoed in families' hearts across the country. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, battling the intense blaze that threatened to consume the wreckage and surrounding homes. Firefighters, paramedics, and police worked side by side, digging through debris in search of survivors and victims. Their heroic efforts, carried out in grueling heat and amid toxic smoke, became stories of courage in a landscape of despair. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the site, personally comforting grieving relatives and honoring the rescue teams. His visit underscored the magnitude of the tragedy and the nation's collective grief. Vigils sprang up across India, with citizens lighting candles and leaving flowers to remember those who perished. As investigators combed through the wreckage, hopes rested on the aircraft's black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. Early analyses suggested the plane had suffered a rare and catastrophic dual-engine failure. Pilots activated the ram air turbine, an emergency measure designed to provide limited power during total engine loss. Passengers had reported electrical issues moments before impact, including flickering cabin lights, adding weight to the theory of electrical malfunction. Aviation experts weighed in, emphasizing the complexity of modern aircraft systems and the challenge of diagnosing the precise cause of the failure. They explained how a chain reaction of mechanical and electrical problems might have overwhelmed the crew's ability to respond effectively, highlighting the razor-thin margins pilots face in emergencies. The disaster ignited questions about maintenance protocols and safety standards within Indian aviation, sparking calls for reform. The tragedy was not just about what had happened, but how to prevent such devastation in the future. Internationally, the crash resonated deeply. With 53 British nationals among the passengers, embassies and governments worldwide offered support. The incident underscored the shared vulnerabilities and interconnectedness of modern air travel. Communities surrounding the crash site faced their own battles. Entire families lost homes, neighbors grieved together, and volunteers mobilized to provide relief and comfort. For many, the crash was a wound that pierced the heart of their everyday lives. Memorial services provided a place for collective mourning. Photographs of the victims adorned altars, candles flickered in the evening air, and names were spoken aloud in prayers. The stories of each life lost became a tapestry of humanity, dreams unfulfilled, love interrupted, futures erased. The crash of Flight 171 stands as a solemn reminder of the unpredictability of life and the weighty responsibility borne by those who design, maintain, and operate our skies. It is a call to remember the fragility of existence and to strive relentlessly for safety and care in every journey taken. Behind the statistics and headlines are real people, mothers, fathers, children, friends, and strangers brought together by tragedy. Their stories compel us to honor their memory through vigilance, compassion, and the pursuit of answers. As investigations continue and healing begins, the hope endures that this catastrophe will lead to stronger safety measures and a safer future for all who take to the skies. Flight 171's story is one of loss and resilience, a narrative woven into the fabric of a nation and the history of aviation.